Beer Monger here today. It is March 20th, 2011, and I'm preparing today to brew a batch of India Pale Ale. At the moment behind me I have the hot water heating up in my hot liquor tank. I heat the water to 170 degrees to try and hit my mash temperature where I want, around 155 degrees once all the grains are added. So the water's at about 140 degrees right now, so pretty shortly here I'll be ready to start adding the grains and the hot water to my mash tun. Alright, well, I've added the first bag of grains to the mash tun. Our water's at its target temperature. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill up the mash tun and add the rest of the grains. And we're looking for a soupy kind of oatmeal type consistency in our mash. The water's still flowing in, a lot of grains, so we have a little bit ways to go yet. Okay, all the hot water from the hot liquor tank is in, and I'm just waiting for the thermometer to read to check to see how close we are to our target temperature. Okay, we want a target temp of 150 to 155 degrees. Looks like we overshot that just slightly. We're a little closer to 160. So I'm going to leave the top off the mash tun for just a bit and stir the mash up a bit with the mash paddle to get rid of some of the excess heat. Okay, we've about reached our target temp now pretty quickly of 155 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on the cooler. Okay, good timing. It's exactly 2 o'clock. So we're going to mash our grains now at that temperature for 75 minutes, trying to hold as close to that temp as we can. So I'll only be opening the cooler a few times for stirring. When the mash is done, we'll go ahead and proceed to sparge. Okay, the mash has been going now for about a half hour. I'm going to go ahead and check the temperature and give it a stir. Okay, perfect. We're still right at our target temperature. Okay, we're still hovering right at around 155 degrees, just perfect. So we're going to let that go ahead and sit for another half hour. Okay, it is now 3 o'clock. I've been busy sanitizing my fermenters, but it's been an hour now in the mash, 15 minutes to go. So let's check and see where we're at on our temp and give it another stir. Okay, we're still just a little above 150, so we're still right in our target range. I'm going to go ahead and start heating up the water for the sparge, and we have about 15 minutes to go left on the mash. Okay, well, it looks like our water's taken just a little longer than I expected to get to temperature. We need about 5 more minutes, so no big deal. We're going to go ahead and mash for about 5 minutes longer, and when the water's ready, we'll go ahead and sparge. Okay, it's 3:25, so we mashed for about 10 minutes longer. Our water's reached target temperature for sparging. I'm going to go ahead and hook up our sparge arm, and once that's done, I'll go ahead and give you a closer look inside the mash tun once it's all set up. Okay, you can see our sparger going here, spinning, starting to sprinkle water on the mash. Now, next step after that, of course, is to come down here and let things start flowing into the boil kettle. And there we go. Now we want the sparge to take a while. I need to concentrate on it for a bit, so I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down, and I will come back to you when the sparge is complete and we're ready to start our boil. Okay, the sparge is going well. I've got my valve set where the flow is just about right, and now I just need to wait for the sparge to finish, and I'm going to collect 12 gallons of wort to boil. Okay, we're about almost 50 minutes into the sparge. It's going to take a little longer than the 50 minutes, which is good. You want a nice slow sparge. Actually, the longer the better. Make sure you rinse all the sugars out of your grains. So far, I've collected about 8 or 9 gallons of wort. Got to get all the way to 12, so we got a little ways to go yet. And I'll be back with you again when we get the boil going. Okay, well, the sparge is all finished. And here's the wort in the boil kettle. We're just waiting for it to come to a boil. It looks like I collected just a little under 12 gallons of wort. That should be just fine. We'll account for evaporation, and I should wind up with just about a 10-gallon batch. So, here we go. Okay, our wort has just reached boiling point, so I'm going to do the first hop addition, which I've got right here. And I like to use these muslin bags for the hops. It just makes cleanup a whole lot easier, and makes things easier, doesn't clog up my system. So let's go ahead and toss this in and give that a good stir. Okay, so now we're going to start timing for a 60-minute boil for this batch, and we'll have another hop addition 30 minutes from now. Okay, we're now 30 minutes into the boil. Things are looking pretty good, and it's time for the second hop addition. Okay, now we boil for another 30 minutes, and we'll be coming back to add some finishing hops at about 5 minutes before the end of the boil. Alright, well, we're still going on the boil. Got about 20 minutes left to go, but I wanted to show you here, this is my immersion wort chiller. The idea behind this is, you see there's 2 garden hoses attached. One is coming in from the faucet, the other is simply a drain. And what you do is you actually just go ahead and put the wort chiller straight into the boil kettle about 5 minutes before the end of the boil. I've already cleaned it and sanitized it, but honestly, sanitizing isn't much of a worry because you're immersing it right into the boiling wort. These 2 here are my 2 6.5 gallon glass carboys, which will serve as my fermenters for this batch. Each holds 6.5 gallons, but I'm only going to put 5 gallons in each. It should work out just fine. It gives me plenty of blow-off room so that nothing comes out of the airlock. I have plenty of room for the krausening at the top while the fermentation is happening. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the boil to complete here. You can see the steam coming off there, going on nicely. So as I said, about 20 minutes to go. We'll be back in about 15 minutes to add the finishing hops and to go ahead and put in the wort chiller. Okay, we're about 5 minutes from the end of the boil. It's time for me to go ahead and put in the wort chiller and the finishing hops, in reverse order though. Love the smell of those cascades. Okay, I'll give those just 1 minute before I put in the wort chiller. Now once the wort chiller's in, we'll wait about 3 or 4 more minutes. Turn off the heat, and then I'll go turn on the garden hose, which will start the flow of cold water through the wort chiller. We need to cool the wort down to 68 to 70 degrees as quickly as possible. There we go. Okay, and you can see the lid of my boil kettle has a notch cut out to accommodate the wort chiller. Okay, well, we've reached our target temperature of 68 to 70 degrees. I've disconnected the wort chiller, and now it's time to start filling our carboys. I'll give you a little closer look at this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fill up this carboy to the 5-gallon mark. And once that's done, we'll go ahead and stop the flow for a minute, and then we'll fill up the other carboy and we'll be good to go. And after that, we'll pitch the yeast, and then we wait a week for them to ferment. Okay, we're all done except for the last step, which is pitching the yeast. I've had this sitting upstairs so it could slowly warm up to room temperature. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add it to the fermenter. Okay, now I need to agitate the fermenter vigorously for about 5 minutes. Excuse me if I don't go ahead and film that part. Okay, so we're all done brewing for the day, and here are the kegs relaxing in a tub of water kept warm with an aquarium heater to 68 degrees. I pitched the yeast into these at 68 degrees, and here they will sit and ferment for 1 week before I transfer to the second fermenter. I will have the next video installment 1 week from now when it's time to move the beer to the second fermenter.